Okay, hi guys, hi Instagram people. Great to have you guys here, and very excited to have all of you guys here today. And today we are going to be talking about coding. And with me, we have two very special guests today, Yimei as well as Jeffrey. So both of them are going to talk about their coding journey and also answer a bunch of questions that you guys may have. In the meantime, let me just check, just in case if you guys have any questions, I too will be able to see your questions here as well. All right, so excited to have all of you guys. For us, we are trying to be able to reach about 15 shares this time around.
Ooh, nice.
Okay, 15 shares, and once we get 15 shares, we would be giving out a shirt, right? And this shirt is this, okay? Can you see this? Yeah. So this shirt, and if you actually turn around, can you guys see it?
Yep.
Yes, Eat Sleep Code.
It's a Eat Sleep Code shirt, and this is the one that we are actually giving out for the one lucky winner who actually shares, and we want to be able to reach 15 shares to actually give out the shirt. Okay, so are you guys ready? If you guys are, please feel free to actually share this post. And in the meantime, let's get started. Okay. Hi Yimei and hi Jeffrey. How are you guys?
Hi Audrey. Good, thanks.
Awesome. So I think the reason why we wanted both of you to be here is because I think a lot of people really want to see with their own eyes the alumni and what everyone is doing right now. So maybe Yimei, let's just start with you. So maybe you could tell us what were you before, why do you learn to code, and then what you're doing now. Yeah.
Okay, so I graduated with a psychology degree, and before coming back to, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I was living in Singapore for 10 years. I was studying and working there. So at my previous job, I wasn't very happy. I was working for a ministry, and I just couldn't see myself being in that job for even the foreseeable 2 or 3 years. So I decided, I needed a career change, and I realized I looked around and I realized all the jobs were tech related. So I started to think, if I wanted to change the job, I might as well go into a career where there are more opportunities, which is why I looked into coding. And I started to learn coding on my own, and I realized that, hey, I actually really like it a lot. But the thing about learning coding on your own is that it can be quite difficult. I don't know, Jeffrey, did you learn to code on your own?
Did you try a little bit?
Definitely, I tried a little bit before joining the bootcamp and everything. It was actually, like you said, it's really difficult when you have very little guidance just to know where to start even in the beginning.
Yeah. Correct. So I was taking this online course, and even with the structure that was provided, I find that it was difficult because I had no one to guide me. I didn't have a mentor. I was alone basically, and that was difficult. And I stumbled upon Next Academy, and I feel it made learning a lot faster with Next Academy. But yeah, that's it. I like coding, and just so lucky to be able to do what I like.
Nice. I think this is very interesting. So guys, for both of them actually joined the 10 weeks web development bootcamp. And both of you guys, so she was from a psychology background and you were from what background?
Actually, I'm also from a psychology.
Oh, okay, both psychologists. Okay, both psychologists.
I didn't know that.
So I did psychology and marketing in my university. After that, I decided to go into the restaurant industry. I was doing restaurant marketing and a lot of management as well. So from there, I think a lot of how I got into coding is really me doing a lot of Microsoft Excel in the background to automate a lot of the manual tasks like invoices and all that. And after a while, I realized that actually Excel is pretty interesting because you can do so many small little things to help speed up the process of management and everything. But I'm pretty sure there are even better ways to take this even further, and that's where I sort of looked into coding.
Yeah, that's cool. I think, okay, so maybe you could share with us what is one thing that now that you learn to code. So last time both of you guys have literally both of you guys actually started off from psychology background. You had you know, you didn't go through any formal education to university or college or anything, you didn't touch anything about coding. For you, you decided to, you know, one fine day go online and, you know, just Google.
Yeah, basically.
For you kind of play around with Microsoft Excel and then probably Google a little bit, right? So that's how you guys started. And then you guys come through Next Academy and to learn to code. So the next question is that now after learning to code, right? So what are some of the things that you guys are doing with code right now?
You wanna go first or?
Alright, yes,
Yeah.
I'll go first. So one of the things that I'm trying to do right now is sort of bring back what I learned from coding and combine with that with the experience, my experience in running a restaurant. I am actually in the middle of writing this web app to help restaurant owners run restaurant operations easier and better, because restaurant being a very brick and mortar kind of business has a lot of manual work, and through coding I sort of want to introduce a lot of automation and just ease a lot of the workload for restaurant owners.
I love that, because I really love what, you know, how you're putting it, because I think, you know, coding is not just singular, right?
Right.
Coding, sometimes people look at coding, oh, coding is coding, you know. But the thing is that right now coding is cross industries, and you bringing your experience from the restaurant experience and now merging it together with code and trying to figure out, hey, what can we do right now with, you know, how can we automate things, how can we use technology to make things even better. And I think that is essentially what coding is about, right? You know, merging the best of both worlds together. Okay, so how about you?
So right now, so after I graduated from Next, I got a job as a junior software engineer. So then in my job, I do coding, do web development, but in addition to applying what I learned, I also found that it's interesting that you mentioned that before that you were doing Excel. Like before this, my Excel experience is literally just do some sums and then I call it a day. But actually just today I wrote a Google App script, because I realized the workflow was quite manual, right? So then the purpose of code is to automate a lot of things. So I wrote a Google App script and you know, just automate their process. So even though Google App script is not something that I learned, because it's technically not web development, but I found that learning web development actually helped me with that in you know, an unrelated thing.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. So, you know, to me, coding is, you know, it's literally like talking to a computer, right? So, really, you know, with coding, you can do a lot of things. Web development is just one of it. You know, building mobile apps is just one of it. You know, the thing is that, what you do, what Yimei did is she was doing scripting. So she actually wrote scripts within Google Sheets, right?
Yeah.
This is very interesting because so Google Sheets itself have its own special things like, you know, you can use whatever they provide you, which is possible. But what happens if you want to do something more than that, right? And that's the time where I think it was really interesting, because I was looking at the script. So we wanted to key in some information. Everyone collectively key in some information. But every time after everyone key in the information, we need to get the total score, right?
Yeah.
And then paste it manually into another sheet.
Correct.
And then we need to clear the score and then start, you know, gathering feedback again. But what is really cool is that she wrote a script where everyone can give a scoring. Once the total score is out, you know, just with a click of a button, it will automatically populate the sheet with the correct number. And then, you know, with another click of the button, it will just delete off everyone's score, and then we can use it again for something else. So I think that was a very, you know, innovative way of just putting things together. So, okay, I think we have a really good introduction of both of them. Definitely very happy to have you guys here, and you know, we see that there are 16 people over there. In the meantime, guys, do we have any questions from the floor? So no questions on the floor, but one key thing is this: we will be giving out one of this Next Academy t-shirts with this, and then with the Eat Sleep code all the way at the back. Eat Sleep code. Right, okay, I cannot see. You sleep code lah, okay? So with this, if when we hit 15 shares, there'll be one lucky winner who'll be able to get this shirt, right? We actually send them out regardless where you are in the world. So far we've been sending out all within Malaysia lah, but okay. And one lucky winner will get it. Okay, so Jermaine, just now I know that you are in here. I hope that you're back in here again. And if you have any questions, please feel free to pop that in. Let's just get started with one of the questions, alright?
Alright.
Sure.
So Yip Wei Min asks, I have no experience and knowledge in coding. How do I start? So let me just repeat that. I have no experience and knowledge in coding. How do I start? So who wants to start first? You or you?
I'll go first.
Okay.
The thing about the internet right now is that there's a lot of resources, right? So it depends on which path you want to go. Like personally, what I did was I took a very structured course. It was a course by Harvard. It was like Introduction to Computational Thinking.
Yeah.
It's literally what they are teaching at the undergrad level in Harvard students are learning. So that's one way you can do, like you take a very structured course. But I also know like some other people who just follow YouTube tutorials and they just pick up like some programming basics. I think like programming basics it's very important you get the logical thinking going, and I think that forms the basic of programming. So I think getting started with thinking logically is the first step to getting started with coding. That's what I think.
Nice. How about you?
Right. So in terms of getting started with coding, I think one way you can look at it is sort of just as simple as just asking a friend who may be like a software developer or sort of like a software engineer, just to get some pointers on like where to start, what are some easy languages to pick up, or just point you in the right direction in general, because like if you talk about coding, the world is so big,
Yes.
so vast,
Definitely.
right? So point you in the right direction. Maybe this certain YouTube video is sort of good for you to get like the basics just to get going. That I think that's sort of how I started, just by asking friends.
That's it, right? So one thing as really, let me just re-emphasize this. Both of them are from psychology background, okay? Both of them are from psychology background. So meaning they actually didn't learn how to code from school, from college, from university. They did go online and go Google and go through some courses online, or go just YouTube and try to get started online, and then found out that both of them really like it. Both of you guys found out that you really kind of like playing around with code, and then becoming so much more serious, and then coming to Next Academy. So I think with that, really just remember that nothing is really stopping you. One key thing is if you don't know if coding is your thing, you can really start off by going online to just try and Google them and just play around with it. So but if not, if you are if you don't really have the time or whatnot, you can just come on by Next Academy as well. I think the first course is the HTML, CSS and JavaScript course. That is like the coding fundamentals course. That one is really beginner friendly, and it will also help you to really understand if coding is something that you like or not. Right? What do you guys think of the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, the front-end web development coding course? For you?
Personally thought it was okay. It was very, very beginner friendly. Definitely like if someone has like zero experience in coding, I think picking up HTML and CSS should be relatively simple, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like HTML, CSS, like the JavaScript, the first 2 weeks. So I guess that's sort of like a very good way to just get a feel of whether you like coding, whether you sort of like how the machine think, and whether you can sort of understand what's going on. And before you really go deep dive into the world.
So I think that is definitely something. We always say something like, people always like the idea of coding because coding is really, people package it really cool, really fun and everything. But we always say that, it's good to actually give it a try, right? And then for us at Next Academy, at least you also have guidance, mentors and friends. Both of them are there to help you through, and give it a try and see if it's something that you really like or not. And then only you pursue it, right? So, but to get started, you can always just come by Next Academy to get started. Okay, so maybe let's just talk about. Okay. So someone actually asked this. Wei Long actually asked this. I am from a finance background, and is it too late for me to switch career from finance to tech? Okay, is it too late for me to switch from finance to tech?
I don't think so. I don't think it's too late.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, and I think like your background in finance, unless you're like completely sick and tired of finance, don't want to touch finance at all. I think there's actually quite a lot of opportunities in like finance right now because of where the world is heading. Like fintechs are popping up. E-wallet is like a prime example of like combining technology and finance. So I don't think it's too late. Like if anything, I think personally when I was changing careers, one of the things that was on my mind was like everything that I've done before me is going to be useless. And I'm going into a completely new career. But I think that the beauty of tech is that, like what you said just now, it spans across like different industries, and there is going to be a way for you to use the knowledge that you gain in your past life and like use tech, like combine that knowledge and tech knowledge together, and like do good things, make cool stuff. Like what Jeffrey is doing now, building an app for like restaurants and stuff. That's what I think.
Yes. Perfect, right? so I think finance to tech. I think for you were from restaurant to tech, right? Maybe you could share. I think you could share with Wei Long. I mean, just now maybe you could just repeat again. How do you plan to combine your restaurant experience with technology?
Right. So restaurant. Because in restaurants, what we do is we'll have a lot of like manual record of like what is sold today, or like invoices from suppliers, and just payroll and things like that. Just all this. Yes, you have software out there, but a lot of the time it's actually very, very manual to do all of this stuff. And so what I'm trying to do right now is really just sort of help restaurant owners consolidate all these processes. Make it easier. The one entry to sort of to help them manage a better restaurant and a more efficient way to run things.
I think that's definitely it, right? And furthermore, just like what they say, right? Finance, there is so much opportunity in finance. It really depends on what you want to do, because when you're switching career, it doesn't mean that I throw away all my finance knowledge and then I suddenly become a web developer from scratch. It doesn't always mean that way, because there are so many. I know that the finance industry are looking for people who knows how to code, right? They're looking for finance people who knows how to code, because there is a lot of things, right, that requires you to have finance knowledge so that you can automate those functions. So I think it's never too late to actually switch. I think for you, if you're more concerned of I've been in my finance role for 10 years already. I've been at a certain level. I've been so experienced already, and now you ask me to start from scratch. For me, I will challenge you to think in a very different way. When you're learning to code, right, it means that you can still stay in the finance role, but now your goal is to not just do your job, but to figure out how can I then use tech to actually complement my finance knowledge, right? Because I think a lot of people, a lot of companies, a lot of financial companies are looking for people who have a keen understanding on technology, especially people at the managerial and senior the senior roles, right? People are always looking for these people. So never too late, and yes, you can obviously switch careers, or you can think bigger, combine finance and technology together for yourself.
Yeah, and can I just add on? Yeah. So one way to look at coding is definitely it's not that it's almost never the case where you're just switching from one career to the other, or one industry to the other.
Yeah.
It's almost always the case of you can use coding to sort of accelerate or even go even further with whatever you were doing, just because you can do so much more now. Compared to before, when you know coding and how to automate and how to do more things.
Yeah. So guys, we are hitting our 5th share. So guys, please share.
Keep going.
Yes, keep sharing, guys. Once we hit 15 shares, we'll be going to be giving out one of this like shirts. Okay. Every time I'm just gonna promote this, guys.
Free
Free shirts. Okay. Who doesn't like free stuff? Okay. So we have a question from Rui Francisco. And Rui asks, is age an issue when it comes to learning how to code? So is age I would love to know if age means very young or
Very old.
or very old, right? But since perspective guys, like who wants to start first, you or you?
I guess I'm relatively young, so I don't I wouldn't think that is an issue, but I've seen some of our students, they're actually like more senior. Like I've seen some of our students are actually quite.
Yeah.
How old is our oldest student? Do you recall?
The oldest student we have was almost 50.
Yeah, I think almost 50 is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
The oldest
late.
student.
From my classmate, I think at one point.
I think so. I can't remember.
Yeah,
But
so-
almost, yeah.
50. I don't think age would be an issue then.
Yeah.
If he's 50 and he can do it, then
Yeah.
Francisco, I think you can do it too.
So I think one key thing, okay, so maybe we should start off with this. If the kid is really, really young, like 8 years old, 9 years old, would being 8 or 9 years old be an issue in learning to code? Let's start off with that question first.
Oh.
Can I go?
Yeah.
Alright. So I think 8 or 9 years old, you have to have realistic expectations.
Yeah.
Biological development wise, perhaps the brain is just not as developed at that age. But it's definitely not impossible. Coding is a lot on like sort of logical computational
Yeah.
thinking. So don't go very far. Bring something that's relatable to the kids.
kid, yeah.
Like I think Lego Mindstorm, is it?
Yes, Lego Mindstorm.
Lego Mindstorm
Nice
is a
one.
great way to get started. Just simple machines, that kids can relate to and they can play with, and it's easy for them to understand.
Yeah.
Or maybe Minecraft. That's also a good way to introduce them to coding.
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? Do you have any?
I was thinking, like realistic expectations lah. Like, so I think maybe an 8 or 9 year old won't be able to build like a full-blown full stack app, but they can definitely do coding.
Yeah.
Like there is a program written by MIT, Scratch. Have you
Yeah,
heard of
Scratch,
right?
Scratch, yeah.
I think Scratch was aimed at younger children, younger like those who are learning to code. So Scratch is one way because they break down code into like tiny little puzzle pieces.
Yep.
And I think essentially that's what coding is about. It's logical pieces that you put together
Yep.
to form like a bigger puzzle. So I
Yeah.
think 8 or 9 should be fine.
So I think for me, when kids are so young, it's totally. The first thing you want to get them started with is computational thinking, right? Computational thinking doesn't mean immediately writing those weird looking code, right? Many times for kids it's usually a lot more discovery, and it's usually trying to train their logical mindset, and which is why if you go for Scratch or you go for Lego Mindstorm, kids don't immediately write those code that they write, but what they do is that they learn how to think they learn how to think the way the computer interacts, right? So usually kids will start off with that, and the key goal here, right, is this: it's not about forcing your kids to memorize all these weird looking characters. No, your key goal here is to help them build their computational thinking or / logical thinking. That's one. And number 2, to get them excited, because when they are excited, then they will learn more.
Yeah.
But I've seen some people, like, it's very interesting, like I've seen some people who really just force their kids, like going for tuition, memorize, and the kid just lose interest and doesn't want to touch it at all. So I think this is one thing for you guys to keep in mind. For kids 8 or 9, or maybe up to maybe even up to slightly maybe 14 or so, it's all about discovering, creating that interest for them, because when they're interested, they will want to do so much more.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, now but let's flip it around. Just now you've already answered that, but assuming someone who's 50 years old and this person wants to learn to code, what would you say?
If you're 50 years old and you want to code,
Yeah.
I guess just be prepared to sort of do a lot of. I'm actually not sure.
Actually, maybe when you're 50 and you say, let's just say we just give it an age, 50 and want to learn to code, I think it's a mindset thing, right?
Right, yeah.
You probably, what you realize is that you probably may need to get rid some of the mindsets that you have. And even like right now when we learn to code, we realize that for me, okay, I'm not very young. I don't want to say my age, guys, but my 20 plus years, okay, nearing 30. Okay, so all these years of education that I have, when I actually first started learning to code, I realized that, oh my goodness, the biggest struggle is not the coding bit. The biggest struggle is changing my mindset. I don't know if it's the same for you guys. It's just a mindset change on how I approach problems.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's all about really just changing the way you usually do things.
Yeah, and I think also, I don't know, like I feel like as I'm aging, I get into this mindset that I always hear my mother saying already no use lah, cannot learn new things. I think people tend to have this expectation on themselves. As they age, they lose the ability to learn. I think if you're learning and you're of like an older age group, then I think the first thing is really don't let age be an issue to yourself. I think that's very, very important. Just understanding that even though you may not be as young as you used to be, you can definitely learn new things. Because I think we see in the news all the time, people 90 plus got their degree finally.
Yeah.
It's definitely doable, and I think the mindset
matters.
The mindset matters, and I think nothing is impossible.
Yeah, and also like what May said, definitely try to let loose of let go of the self-imposed limit that of age you cannot learn something new. I think from my batch, there were two of my classmates. One was in his late 30s, one was in his late 40s, and I think they are both fantastic programmers. They did so well, and I think with age also comes something that you have advantage in terms of experience and sort of mathematical reasoning, and I think they really excelled in both of those, and they really had a lot of ideas on how to integrate code with whatever they are bringing to they're doing in their day job and everything. So that's, I think, even if you're old, there's advantages to learning how to code as well.
Yeah. Okay, so just now Jermaine is in as well, right? So hi Jermaine. So I'm going to answer your question. So we know that Jermaine, she is a digital strategist, right?
Okay.
And and one thing she asked is that what would I learn in the course that I can apply on my work, right? And I'm guessing as a digital strategist. So yeah, and over here I believe she is also owning a company. So maybe what are your thoughts, right, in terms of digital strategies may be related to marketing, and it could also be related to processes as well. So yeah, so what do you guys think that if you learn how to code, or not if, but now that you guys know the code already, so what have you guys done to help in your day-to-day business and in your day-to-day work?
So I'll start first.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think learning to code because I'm doing a bit of digital marketing at the moment as well. I think learning to code has definitely helped with digital marketing in terms of say you want to maintain your own website, your own e-commerce site, and learning to code is definitely a plus. I mean, there are sites out there like Wix or Webflow, but learning to code actually just makes everything so much easier, and I actually understand what I'm doing. And there are also things like analytics and learning to code. So analytics sometimes involve coding as well. So I think
that's one of the key things, right?
Maintaining your website, maintaining analytics.
I think when it comes to digital marketing, it doesn't just stop there. For example, you need certain information. As a digital marketer, for example, you need to get sentiments So how do you get them? You go to Twitter, you go and search for all the hashtags, and then you scrape those sentiments. And our students have done that before. So they actually scrape the sentiments, and then they put it through sentiment. They put it through this AI thing, lah, right?
Sentiment analysis.
Sentiment analysis, and it determines if the sentiment is good or bad.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, so people actually have done that.
Yeah.
There is also some of the other things that I thought was really interesting is students, like I've seen people build mini games, right?
Yeah.
So of course, you want to create those fun interactive games with, maybe for your company, like if people play, and then after that it will if you reach certain level, then you give out the coupons and things like this, right?
Very nice.
How are you going to get, how are you going to do that, right? How are you going to make that happen? The only way to make that happen is you hire someone to write it, or you write it yourself. It could be a very simple game, but people use doing those games as a way to generate leads. So that is one definitely interesting way to actually go about it. Scraping, generating games. I don't know, it's so much more. And then how about processes? How would you automate processes? Like just now you talk about,
Right. So things like let's say something very simple, right? If you want to post a content to social media, like traditionally what I used to do was always when I did a posting, I always have to post to Twitter, after that Facebook, Instagram. Some people may have more platforms like Snapchat and different platforms. And so after a while, it really becomes a very, very manual job, because especially if you have to do it every day, or especially like I was from the restaurant industry, so it's a very sort of hectic kind of thing. And these are not part of your core businesses, but it's something you have to do. And it becomes very manual to have to do it so many times every time. So what I do is sort of, I have a script as well that sort of just every time I post something, it just does postings to all the platforms. It just helps me, just shaves off like maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes every day. Just saves a lot of time over time.
Yeah, I think definitely awesome, because processes, I know someone who actually came to Next Academy because he said that and he was doing his own family business, right? And he was like, oh, you have no idea how much stuff that I need to do, so many manual things, suppliers send this thing in, all the stuff I need to track and so on. And his one goal is this: I just want to automate everything, and then I can go holiday and the company can still go on. So that was his goal, right? And I think throughout during the course, when he was going through halfway, I asked him, so do you think you have already achieved your goal, right? And he said, you know what? I've learned enough to do what I needed to do. Right? That's what he said. I learned enough to do what I needed to do to actually automate the stuff. So yes, I think that was really exciting. Okay, let's just move on to the next question, right? Mariam asks, how can coding help me in changing my career path? And there is another person called Harminder also asks, how can coding help me grow my career? So one is, changing career path, which we kind of touched on that just now. And the other one is growing the career. So let's start with the first one, changing career path.
Okay. Changing career path. I think coding, like if coding, the sky's the limit. Like you really can go anywhere.
You can do anything you want.
You can do anything, just anything that's computer based, or like personally, what I've done is that even after I've graduated the bootcamp, I actually went on and done a few just freelance projects. I've built like doors that require a QR code access to go enter.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. What I've tried working on is sort of like a system for vertical farming as well. That's sort of still in the work. There's so many ways you can go with coding.
Vertical farming?
Yeah.
Farming vertically.
Yeah, farming vertically.
Okay.
Just automating the watering process and all that.
Cool
Right. So there's so many ways you can go with coding. There's really no limit. I think the best way to really go with coding is really combining whatever experiences you have before as well, and sort of really package it together, and sort of that's become where you offer something that's really unique and not a lot of people can have, because it draws upon past experiences.
So just to sum it up, right? For Jeffrey, you when you're talking about changing career path or growing your career, changing career path, like coding, you can do so many things, right? For him, he has done freelancing gigs and so on and so forth. But at the same time, in terms of growing your career, is really thinking about where you are right now and combining technology together to expand your horizons. How about you? Ding ding.
About changing career?
Changing career. So there's changing career and growing your career. Choose one.
Choose one.
Or you can have both if you want to.
I guess growing career. Based on what I hear from my classmate. So one of my classmate, he was sent here by his company. So I think he was doing project management previously, and then he decided doing this for so long, and he wants to make a change. So he came here and he learned web development. So then I think right now he's doing web development is
in his company.
In his company, within the same company, instead of changing career completely, he's within the same company but he's doing something else. So that's also one way coding can help you grow your career, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
And by I imagine if you know an extra skill, you are more valuable in the workplace, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
that's what I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And also I think coding also, because coding is such an interesting skill and can be really integrated with any industry really. And so what has really happened since I graduated from the bootcamp as well is that I've managed to talk to so many people from just different industries, and definitely industries I've never touched before. Farming is one of them.
Yeah.
And then I ended up we can collaborate on something together, or this kind of stuff. So it's pretty interesting what kind of doors it opens for you in terms of career after you learn coding. Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you guys something really, really funny. So when I learned to code, which was many years back, about 2 years ago so one of my classmates, actually, I asked him, why do you learn how to code? He said, the reason I learned how to code was because of one of my colleagues.
Oh, why?
So he said, this colleague, right, always come late. Always come late to work. Always go out for long lunches, right? But he was never caught. So what happens is this. For them, their system, they still use the traditional, you actually need to log into your computer. Something you need to log into your computer, and then they will detect that you log into the computer, and then only they will say that, you are at work. And then when you need to leave for lunch, you actually need to, log out. And then after that, when you come back from lunch, you need to log back in again. Something like this. So that's how they actually detect if you are in the workplace or not.
That's not very secure.
Okay, yeah. So whatever it is So he said, this guy, right, always look like he has nothing to do. And so what he did is this. He always come late. So work starts at, 9 or 9:30. That guy always comes in at 10 or 10:30.
Wow.
And that guy wrote something to the computer that automates logging in for him. Okay, and then after that he'll go lunch. People go, let's just say 12:30 and need to come back 1:30. He will disappear and come back about 2:30. 2-hour lunch. But what happens is that he wrote a script to automate, to log out and log in, so that when he's not there, it will just auto log in for himself, right?
Oh my god, that's genius.
And not just that, he said that because their role requires, actually I can't remember what's his role exactly, but their role requires a lot of manual work, getting the data from somewhere and then compiling it. And this guy literally wrote a script, right, to do everything. So the work that all his other colleagues, all the other people, including my friend, they all probably spent 2 or 3 hours to do. He actually finished everything in 10 to 20 minutes. And then what he does at work is that he play games. So he said that, he said the reason why I learned code, he said, I don't know how he was doing that, at first. I thought he was doing some magic, and then he realized that this guy wrote programs, just wrote the program across everything and just automated all his work stuff. And when he saw that, he just said, that is the reason why I learned to code. I saw that guy doing that. I told myself that, why am I so stupid? Why am I not going to be doing it like him?
Yeah.
So that's why he actually learned to code. And I think that was quite funny and exciting, right? I would just say that it's not the most ethical thing, but whatever it is, when you can automate work, just automate it, right?
Yeah.
Great, we have 10 shares.
Yeah.
Yay! Okay,
Yay.
so
Over there.
10 shares and 5 more to go to give away this one's lucky or this one's special t-shirt, okay? So just now that really really funny. I like really funny story that I just shared with you guys. It's actually a true story. Okay, if you read around the internet, it's not just happening in Malaysia. It actually happens around the world. Yeah. I would say that these people are really creative, very, very creative people. Okay, one big question, this is a very interesting question and a lot of people ask this question. Imran asks, I am not good at math. Is it still possible to learn to code? I am not good at math, is it still possible to learn to code?
The short answer is yes, right?
Yes, you can learn to code even if you're not good at math. Yeah? How about anyone?
Yeah, I think with math, you can definitely code if you're not good at math. Being good at math helps, but it's not like a strict requirement for you to learn how to code. Ultimately, it's more about logical thinking and really trying to sort of understand how the computer interprets the code and everything, and then just giving instructions to the computer.
Correct. I mean, unless you are aiming to become a data scientist, then obviously like being good at math is kind of a requirement. But honestly, like in web development, I can count the number of times I had to use math like on one hand. Unless you're building like something that's math related, honestly, math not that important. Being good at it might help at some point. But even if you are like bad at math, it's definitely possible to learn coding. I think that's one of the myths. Like you have to be good at math.
I have to be a genius to be good at coding. Okay, no guys, you don't need to be a genius. Just like what Jeffrey said, it's all about logical statements. In fact, when you're writing code, you realize it's all about being logical, writing logical statements one after another. So those are the crucial thing. You don't need to know all the craziest math like you don't need to know things like
don't need to do differentiation or
dx dy or you don't need. I don't even remember those things anymore. You don't need to. But I think what is good is to really practice logical thinking. Logical thinking is not only, it's not bound to math, like it's bound to across everything, right?
It's probably more towards like logical thinking, problem solving.
Problem solving.
That's probably like the key of it.
For me, what is also good is problem solving, logical thinking, and also observing patterns.
Pattern.
Yes,
pattern is one of it.
You realize that hey, this one seems like, let's just say something happened and you realize every time when people write something and the same kind of words, then the error will come in. Now I need to fix the error. So to me it's also observing patterns. And observing patterns and so on is not just a math thing. It can be your day-to-day thing, right? So guys, like if people always say you need to be a math genius to be what? No, you don't need to be a math genius. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg is a math genius, right? He's not really a math genius. But like what May say, unless you want to get into things like data science or want to write stuff like your finance trading algorithms, those things you need to be good at math. But other than that, building an app,
not really.
A lot of apps don't really need.
It's more toward math probably leads towards like analysis.
That's about it, right? So so we have debunked that. Guys, do you guys have any of one of those interesting myths that you have heard about coding before? I mean, math is definitely one thing, right? Yeah, you have?
This, knowing how to code means you're a hacker.
Knowing how to code means you're a hacker.
All the time. Like, I think after coming to Next, and then like I start watching those shows like, Criminal Minds, Law and Order, and you see those people, on the computer, I'm in. And then it's not how coding works, man. Like till now, I'm not hacking my bank or other things. No, but like learning how to code is like you're building things like logical thinking and stuff like that. It's all code. It's not hacking. That's all the
Mr. Robot. I think everyone just watched too much movie. Every time when there is a coder in the movie, is always a hacker.
All the time.
All the time. But no, in real life, it's not like that. Okay,
it's not that easy, man.
Debunked. That is an entirely different thing. How about you? Have you heard of any interesting myth?
Any interesting myths around?
People have this misconception.
I guess like one of it is probably that you sit in front of the computer all day. I mean, you do kind of sit in front of the computer a lot, but it's not really as extreme as people think. It's just part of the job, and you write a code. You can still live on like a normal person, I guess. It's not really like you're just slaving in front of a computer like for like 18 hours a day. You drink a lot of coffee. It's really unhealthy. That's kind of like a weird thing some people have about coding. It's definitely not like that.
Yeah, it's like there's also this misconception that you're a programmer, like you live in your mom's basement, you're
a nerd,
yeah, all you eat is pizza and all you drink is Coke. Yeah, it's not like that.
Man.
Look, I'm a girl. We have girls in coding. Girls in tech, female representation.
Yay! You know, guys, like I think one of the myths I heard is like, oh yeah, coder, sure nerd, right? It's a nerd already, just like what you say, right?
Yeah.
But no, I tell you, so many of the coolest people I've known are coders themselves, right? For example, both of them, right? Like seriously, DJs. We have DJs who Next Academy. We have DJs who code. DJ is. Day job is a coder, night job is as a DJ.
Wow, as in like in club DJ.
In club DJ.
Not like go to Radio High.
No, and he is like famous DJ. We actually have 2 or 3 DJs. We also have like people who are like this particular guy, he really cool stuff. So he actually learned to code, and then right now he's doing digital art with code.
Wow.
Digital art experience, right? So like companies will get him, and then when you walk past, you realize that you are, when you walk past the screen, and then suddenly when you look at the screen, you see like the shadow of you on the screen.
Wow.
Like it's really cool. So and these are really cool people, right? I mean, okay, to sum it up, right? Can you see that DJ is not cool? No, right?
Quite cool.
Yeah, DJ are one of the coolest.
Cool.
Everyone think about DJ. DJ are usually the coolest in town. So we also have a lot of business people, learning to code as well. So you really have to debunk it, right? That coders are not nerds or geeks. Coders can be one of the coolest people ever.
Oh yeah, like
For sure.
like that supermodel Carly Claus.
Supermodel.
She's cool. I mean, a supermodel must be quite cool.
And she actually knows how to code. So guys, this is one big myth that you should debunk it, right?
Okay.
And really, coolest people in town are learning to code today. And if you are not coding, you are not cool. Okay, just kidding. Okay, another myth. I think someone said this. I need to learn a lot languages. Then only I can be called a coder. Then only I can be called a good coder. So then they will ask, I need to have 10 different languages. Have you guys heard of that before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely like people who just like want to learn like
Everything.
a long list of languages.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure like what they hope to achieve out of it.
Yeah.
Like it's more of like you don't need to learn that many languages in coding, like just a few that you're good at. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah. It's not about the number of languages, it's about the depth.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that I know, right, when I've seen this, like I've seen resumes before, we listed down God knows how many Java, C++, C#, PHP, Python, Ruby, R, God knows, don't know lah, 7, 8, 9, 10 languages. And then I'm like, okay, wow, you say that you're either a genius or I don't know what you are lah, right? So invited that person and to just do like really basic algorithm writing, and cannot even write anything.
Oh no.
Right? So the thing is this, it's not, when you're learning to code, it's not about collecting credentials on your CV. No, you're not, okay? What we care about is the depth of how much you know how to do. It's not about the number of languages you know.
Right.
Is knowing, if you know 1 or 2 languages, that's fine, right? Is how much you can do with that one language. That is so much more important.
Correct.
Goodness, guys. Okay, so I think we debunked that myth already. Always remember, guys, right? It's not about the amount of languages, it's about the depth of how much you can use, how much you can do with coding.
Yeah, learning like knowing how to print hello world in like 15 different languages.
cares, right?
It's not gonna
Nobody
help.
cares,
Like, you need to be able to use those languages, build meaningful things. I think that's what really matters.
Building meaningful things. Okay. Alright, so we actually have someone asking. So Ong Kam Seong asks, right, what are the opportunities for finance analysts who knows how to code Python and R.
Oh.
Okay, so someone from the finance background was wondering, if I know how to code Python, what is something good out of this? Okay, thoughts.
With Python, anything to do with Python, definitely data science comes to mind, machine learning comes to mind, and when you combine two of that together, I think that's a very, very powerful combination. Just the ability to just have a lot of data. I mean in the finance world, you guys have so much data, and then you plug it into a machine learning model, and it starts spotting patterns for you. I think that's probably like a very powerful thing for a finance person.
Yeah.
Correct.
How about you?
Yeah, I think like knowing R and Python is one of one of the requirements to become a data scientist. Like, not saying that like knowing R and Python will make you a data scientist, but yeah, like knowing R and Python definitely helps with like data analysis and things like that. So, and plus, like if your job is a finance analyst, I think, but obviously I'm not an expert in this, but I think it would help.
Okay, so for me, it really depends what is your use case. So I'm just going to break it down into a few levels. So you're a finance analyst, and now you have the ability to code. What can you do with it? First thing first, right? Before you even get into data analysis and stuff like that, there's a few things that you can do. Number one is that finance analysts, when you're doing finance analysis, what are the key data that you need to be getting? So you probably need to scrape data, that's one. You probably need to learn how to integrate with certain APIs that's happening around the world, news that are happening around the world. You probably want to build sentiment analysis, just like what one of our students did, right? Get statements, Twitter statements. Every time Donald Trump decided to tweet something, you put through sentiment analysis and see if it's a positive or a negative. Positive, market go up. Negative, market just go down, right? So those are some of the things that you actually, if you know how to code, you can build those things. That I haven't even talked about, touching data, right? So those are some of the most, I think those are some of the basic things, not basic, but those are some of the things that you can do. But eventually, say, if you eventually want to venture into data science itself is really, trying to make sense of data, trying to get meaningful stuff to make decisions, right? So there is that part. Data science will come to play, right? And there are a lot of different stats models and so on. So when you come to data science, Python and R is only a medium to help you build something, or to help you analyze stuff. But you yourself still need to understand math models, right? You still need to understand how different math models will actually affect your decision making. And Python and R is not, just because I know Python, then suddenly I can become a very amazing data science. No, okay. Because let's just say Python have a lot of what we call libraries, a lot of math libraries. So when you understand a certain math model, you can now use you can go to Python and check and find out if those math libraries exist. And then instead of you doing manually, now you can just use Python code and use the math libraries in Python code to do the same thing instead of using softwares, right? So I think essentially that is what it is. So I think for you as a finance analyst, it really depends where you want to get into, right? So as a finance analyst, if you're trying to build an app, right, to actually get data and so on, then to actually get data to do scraping and to do what? So the web development, I think the web development bit will come in very handy. If you are a finance analyst who wants to interpret data, then your path is probably more to the data science path. So those are two very different things, right? But coding can do both of them. Okay, guys, we actually have 12 shares.
Yay,
12 shares.
3 more.
1, 2, okay.
3 more.
1, 2. We have 12 shares, and we just need 3 more to actually be able to give out this wonderful shirt. Okay. Kam Seong, I really do hope that it will help you. I've helped you answer those questions. I think one of the key things so far I've heard is this, right? It's about this person who actually came up to me and said that I'm looking for coders. I'm like, oh, okay, so you are from a finance background, a fintech company. What kind of coders? Oh, someone. I said, are you looking for, because you have a lot of data and so on, are you looking for a data scientist or what? And then he said that we have a lot. There's two. This is what he said. There's two parts to it. I need a group of people or data scientists or coders who are interested in data to interpret data, but I also need a bunch of people to build the app. Right? It's two different things. Okay, just cause you know Python, right? Python is just a language. You need to ask yourself, where are you specializing in? Right? If you're specializing in web development, it means that you're building an app, to help you automate, to help you, do stuff for you. Or you want to get to data science. Data science is entirely different. It's just two different things. Just cause you know that a lot of data scientists cannot build apps, right? a lot of web developers, right, cannot do data science. The only way for you to know both of them is you learn like a web developer need to learn the data science discipline, or the data science discipline need to learn web development. Is two separate things. So yeah,
Cool.
Depending what you want to do lah, huh? Okay. We actually have one here. Jasmine asked, what coding courses do you offer? Okay, ting. So yeah, what coding courses do you offer? So you all been through the web development. So maybe you could share. Maybe you could share a little bit about the. Who wants to share? Who wants to start off with the 2 weeks one first? You want to start off with the 2 weeks HTML, CSS, JavaScript?
Sure. Okay.
So first course is the 2 weeks HTML, CSS, JavaScript course.
So HTML, CSS, JavaScript, it's basically an introduction to web development. It talks about how basic website works and how your browser works, how you interact with all the elements of the page, right? So if you click a button, what happens? If you type a message in a text field, what happens? And how do you render a nice looking website? That's sort of an introduction. How do you make a nice website?
I think it's enough even for someone who, especially if you are a designer or you're a graphic designer or you design websites, I think then that's great as well, because going through that 2 weeks course, you actually learn all you need to learn in building a website. In changing your beautiful design into an actual website, you actually learn all you need to learn already, even in that 2 weeks. Okay, so after that 2 weeks course, so this is one of the flagship courses. Okay, maybe you could share with us the 10 weeks one.
Oh, the 10 weeks one. Okay, so 10 weeks one consists of 3 components. So the first component is the 2 weeks that mentioned by Jeffrey. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then after that, we do 2 weeks of React. So I would say React is like more advanced front end. It's a JavaScript framework, I think developed by developers at Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Right, so the thing with like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript only, you can build beautiful pages and but as your app gets more and more complicated, it becomes a bit tedious, I would say. And having a front-end framework like React is super helpful, and I had so much fun. I would say I had the most fun doing React, because I think it was such a different way of thinking, and it was such an elegant way of building front-end apps, I would say.
Front-end apps.
Web apps in general,
Correct. So I think then after that we have React. Then after that, then we have the Python. Like we use Python to do web development. So I would say that's back end or full stack development, right?
So basically, with the 2 weeks one, you learn how to code websites from scratch. With the 10 weeks one, you learn how to code websites and turn them into web apps, right? So it's not just a website; it's really it's an app lah, basically. So I think that's the big difference between the 2 weeks and the 10 weeks one. And for you, if you're interested, for you, some of you guys, if you don't know, if you're a total beginner and you have never coded before, I would always suggest for you to go for the what's it called, the 2 weeks one first. The one that Jeffrey spoke about. It will give you a good understanding of what coding is about. It will also help you, play around with code, get comfortable with code, and really think about if it is something that you really want to pursue. And then you can go back, practice more, build websites, and so on and so forth. In fact, the skill sets over here is needed. There are people who are freelancing with the skill sets here as well, right? HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, that's pretty much enough already for you to become a freelance front-end developer. Okay, I think for you, if you are like for her, just now she explained the 10 weeks one. If you are a very serious learner, right, definitely you don't want to just build websites, but you want to go all out and build apps as well. Then yes, going for the 10 weeks course would be what you can do, right?
Yeah. I also missed out the part like where an application typically, I think the difference between a web page and a web app, they might not really know.
A website and the
web app just web page never changes, it's static, it never changes. But a web app can change based on the data that you have in a database. So like for instance, Facebook, like my Facebook feed will look different from their Facebook feed and your Facebook feed because it's getting information from a database. Right, so in our full stack course, you will learn how to design and structure and build your own database, and you feed that data into your application, into your front end. So that's when you have like a full stack application because the contents are dynamic. So we learn, I think we learn SQL.
Yeah,
we also
SQL, guys.
Yeah,
SQL.
we learn SQL.
Yeah.
And
Flask.
A full stack framework in Python where you basically can generate a front end using Python code, which is also very nice.
Yeah, so everything add up together and you
have an app.
Yeah.
Yes, you have an app. And it's quite interesting to see some of the apps that they have built. Very cool stuff. Like for you, she actually built it's an advertising platform. And so long any TVs, if you connect to any TVs and immediately it's real time as well. So for example, if you decided to go through an app, right, and for now you decided and Jeffrey is having a birthday party, so I want to do a happy birthday sort of thing, I could immediately upload this happy birthday picture onto her app, and then the TVs or all the advertising platforms, the advertising, what is it called, the TVs and everything, the billboards will start immediately showing Jeffrey, happy birthday Jeffrey. So I think that's one thing. For you guys built a pet feeder, right?
Yeah, we built a smart pet feeder. Yes, correct.
Yeah, it was quite funny.
Yeah, it was like a pet feeder that you could sort of trigger from anywhere else in the world. You can set it so that it feeds your pet every day at 8 a.m.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, things like that.
Something like
Nice.
this. It was quite cool. It's quite fun. Okay, I think there's one more very interesting question that I may have missed out just now. But in the meantime, do you guys have any questions? And if you guys do, you have to ask us questions. And we are how many shares away?
Still 12.
Okay, we are 3 shares away, guys. So we just need the final 3, and that's it. Then we will be giving out this shirt. Okay, someone actually asked this thing. Sri Ram actually asked, how long will it take before I can land a front-end job? Okay, thoughts. How long will it take before I can land a front-end job?
Many factors.
Many factors. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. There are so many factors. So what are your thoughts?
Front end job. Wow. I guess front end job really depends on. I would say if you want to become a front end developer in general, I think it's good that you go through at least a boot camp level kind of training first, just so that you really understand like what really goes on in the background and at the front. So that it's not just you writing without understanding, and it will be very difficult for you to collaborate with other developers. So that's definitely like a big thing you need to sort of invest in to before you become a front end developer. So I'm not exactly sure how long the journey is. But if you're learning on your own, it could take longer or shorter. But it's definitely something you have to look at first. Yeah.
How about you? What do you think? Like how long does it take to become to land a front end job?
From like starting to learn all the way, or like
I guess we talk about someone who has never coded before. And
the shortest would be, I imagine, 3, because 2 weeks you come to next, you take a boot camp, 2 weeks, and then after that, presumably you start sending out resumes, and if you're lucky, you land a job in 1 week. So shortest could be 3, but again, it depends on how much you put in. If you're learning on your own and you put in 1 hour a day, then maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, who knows? I think it really depends on how fast you learn, how much time you put into it. And then there's this external factor that we cannot control called the economy, right? If there are no jobs, then
you can't do much about it.
You can't find a job lah, but yeah lor.
But yeah, I mean there are definitely like ways to sort of help your employability. I guess like learning the right front end frameworks like React.
Yeah.
React has a pretty big job market
Oh, yes.
right now, so
Very in
that
demand.
will be definitely very advantageous for you to sort of just help you get in and land a job first. And also be realistic about your expectation. If you're starting out, you're probably going to be applying as a junior developer. So just be aware of all the stuff.
Yeah, I think another thing is, okay, so when you're doing front end development, so you also ask yourself the question, right? Like, do you have the ability to change designs into websites, into actual code? So I think that is very, very important. Some jobs, okay, some people demands that the front end person needs to know how to design and know how to code, but some is actually two separated things, right? One person actually come up with the design, one person actually come up with the code.
Correct.
So regardless what, I think one of the key things is this. As mentioned, the 2 weeks course actually teach you everything you need, in coding. But the part where it gets a bit tricky is that you need to practice a lot to learn how to transform designs into code, because you need to start getting used to, if this design is like this nav bar is like that, so what code should I write? And all this takes practice. So I think, as mentioned, the 2 weeks, you learn everything you need to learn, but for you to be good at it, you really need to, it's all about practicing and getting used to writing code. That I've seen some people who take a very short time, some people who need to take a bit longer. But you don't just assume, it's just like, learning a language. Just because you come to an English class and you don't practice, you cannot speak good English, right? The only way for you to actually be good in English is to practice more, write more, read more, talk more, right? So those are the key things. It's really, when you come to coding, it's really no different from our usual learning things, right? So I think those are the key thing. It's all about practicing the things that you have learned. If you don't practice, you'll forget. Yeah, you'll forget. Okay, so do we have anything else over here? There seems to be some question.
No. Yeah, I think Suhaib was saying that every language has its needs because there are like levels, like high level and low level. Like I agree, like which reminds me of a joke, why is a snake a land animal?
Why is a snake a land? Oh my god! Oh my goodness!
Why is a snake a land animal?
Why is Python a land animal?
Yeah.
Why is so Python is a language? This is a programmer joke. So Python is a language.
Also a snake.
So it's also a snake, right? So the question is, why is Python a land animal?
Why?
Because it's above sea level.
Oh wow!
Okay.
Yeah.
Just for you guys to know.
Yeah, but
C is another language.
Yeah, but it illustrates like the difference between a high level and a low level language. Like Python is a very high level language, and there are so many things you don't have to care about. You really just use the language, you write code, and call it a day, right? But when you have like lower language levels, you're more concerned with like memory management and like things like that. You're like communicating with the machine, but a closer level to the machine.
Yeah.
So you're really like for example, touching the memory is like super close to the machine. That's why it's a low level language. And Python,
it's a higher level.
Yeah, it's more concerned with getting things running and working.
And really just getting things done. I guess.
Building things and that would be a higher level language. And definitely like there are needs for both high level and low level languages. So I agree with you, Suhaib.
The different languages have different needs, right? And you know what? Very interesting. So we talked about finance and Python just now, right? If you're talking about really writing trading algorithms, research trading algorithms, meaning that your algorithm to be very fast, split second speed, Python wouldn't be able to help you do that, right? If you're talking about writing making split second decisions, there is something called Fortran. There is a few more languages that people use, right? Because they are known for speed, right? Python is not really known for that sort of speed. But what Python does, you realize that different languages have different use cases and different strengths. But what Python does is that Python gives you so many access to libraries such as the math libraries, the machine learning libraries, the AI libraries, right? Python gives you access to all those things, right? and you can just do it and take it and use it immediately. But all the other languages that I told you just now don't have those things. So different language is different, very very different. So I think those are some of the very key things to really talk about, right? And I hope that for you guys, if you guys have any questions and any other questions that's coming in right now, then we would want to be able to help you answer those questions and debunk some of the things that you have. But if anything, right, our class will be starting soon on the 25th of September. And if you want to learn to code, do check out 25th of September and join us to learn to code and build great stuff. And when you're here, make sure that you put in 110% commitment and effort. You need to you really need to. Okay, for both of you guys, any word of advice
For those coming in?
So not for people who wants to learn to code generally.
In general.
Yeah. Or those coming in can.
I think the best advice I ever gotten when I was just starting to code is being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Wow. Okay, being comfortable. So philosophical.
Yeah, but I think that was the thing that stuck with me, and I think was just so transformational. Because when you're starting to code, everything is foreign. Everything feels like it's gonna make you challenge your intellect, because I don't understand anything. Why am I too stupid for this? And being comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling is going to get you started sooner, if that makes sense, because when you're starting to learn a new thing, you're definitely gonna doubt yourself a lot.
Yeah.
Right? And that feeling is not going to go away. I feel like it's not gonna go away the moment you land your first job as a junior dev.
Yeah.
It's not gonna go away, or when you become a senior dev, because the thing about tech is that it's constantly changing. No one can know everything that's going on in the tech industry, and to a certain extent you're always at least a little uncomfortable because the technology is now different. You have to learn something new. So I think that being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
How about you?
Yeah, I would say sort of don't get caught up with don't stress yourself out too much if you don't understand certain little things. It tends to happen when you're starting coding. In fact, even though I've been actively been coding for so long, or for long enough, I guess. There's still a lot of stuff I still need to Google, and that's the fact of coding, right? You will almost never be able to learn everything. It's really all about understanding at a base level, at the fundamental level, how everything works, have good basics, and then really that's how you can really try to ask the right questions, ask more questions when you need help, and then Google the right solution.
Yeah, correct. Asking the right question and Googling the right thing are two of the most important skills, I would say, if you wanna learn how to code.
I think there's one more myth to debunk. People say, you learn to code why you can Google one? You shouldn't be Googling for your answers. Have you guys heard of that before?
Yes.
That's
recently one of our senior devs actually sent this article, and he's like, this guy, apparently I can't remember what's his name, but this guy who has been coding for the last 10 or 15 years, and he's like, this is what I Google during the week.
Oh, yes, I saw that. I saw the article.
And this is what I Google during the week. The thing is this, right? Even if you have been coding for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you're still going to Google.
Yeah.
Right? The question is, it's not about Googling that is stopping you. The question is, are you finding the right do you even know how to find, do you even know what to Google? That's one. And secondly, is that now that you have Googled for something, for so-called your answer, the second part is, do you understand and can you implement it properly into your code? It's very different from just taking someone else and putting things together. That one becomes a monster, okay?
Yeah.
So, but it's really looking at how other people solve the solution and asking yourself, hey, this person solved it in this manner. I wonder if I could solve it in a very similar manner as well. It's two different things, right? It's not, so to me, it's not about, can Google for answer, or go to Stack Overflow and get answer, just copy paste enough already.
Get the top comment, put it in your code.
If it's that simple, if it's really that simple, right? Then why does Facebook or all these big companies even why do they actually let their interview process actually have a lot of algorithm writing, problem solving challenges, data structure. Why do they even let these people go through these tests? Can just go and Google and then just copy and paste inside, right? So no, it's not that simple, right? So number one is always remember, Googling is a developer's best friend. Google is developer's best friend. God. Yeah. And number two is that no matter how long you learn, how much you learn, you will never learn enough. The word code, I think technology changes so fast. 3 months change one time, 6 months change one time, right?
Yeah.
Change faster than your dictionary.
Correct.
Yes. Even dictionary, we cannot remember all the English words in the dictionary, right? And they are still adding words every year, and we still cannot remember everything. So yeah, it just never stops. Never stop learning, never stop changing. I think
That's it.
that's pretty much it, guys. Okay, so I do hope that it helps you to actually understand a lot more about coding, and and both of them alumni, right, talking about their coding experience with you guys. If you think that someone else could actually benefit from this, do feel free to share it with them. And so 25th of September is our next intake, so do come by and say hi to us. If not, come by and say hi lah. Then ask us and meet us up and ask us about
Questions about coding.
What is your
web developer?
what's your career opportunities? What can you do? How can you put yourself out there?
You have a bug you cannot solve.
How do you squash the bug?
Come. We'll solve your bugs for you.
But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, really. Thank you so much. It has been great, and we do hope to see you next time. And you have more questions, join us for the next webinar. The next webinar should be next week. And join us for class. We really hope to see you, and we want to see you do amazing stuff. Okay, go guys. Thank you so much. Bye. And Instagram, bye bye.